Happy 2025 to each of you. Great to have a full room today. We have over 200 individuals here, and very proud to kick off our forum speaker series for the new year, and it's a great one. Welcome to each of you, and I'd like to first start by recognizing we know there is a lot of things occurring in our down in Southern California right now, primarily the Los Angeles area. We'd like to recognize the men and women who have volunteered for Marion County Fire, as well as 4 individuals from our Salem Fire Department who are on the front lines and lending their talents and services to that effort down there. May your journey be safe and fruitful, of course, and as an organization and a community, know that we are cheering you on each day. Secondly, I'd like to take a brief moment, if I may, to introduce a new staff member at the Salem Chamber. And her name is Jackie Roche. Jackie, if you would please stand. She is right back here. Jackie is our Salem Chamber's membership manager. And if you have a peer or friend in your sphere that needs a little Salem Chamber in their life to see what it can do for both your business and your connections in this city, I would invite you to connect with Jackie Roche. She's a very special individual who has an incredible heart for business. She herself is a small business owner. She has signed the front of a paycheck, not just the back, and understands how important it is for this local economic ecosystem to be very solid. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, it is my distinct pleasure to welcome up our Salem Chamber President, Mr. Mike Herron.
Thank you, Tom. It's always a little bit of a thrill that you'll clap before you even know what I'm going to say. Probably why Tom gives me a script, and probably a good idea that I stick to it. So please stand and join me for a moment of reflection or prayer, followed by our national anthem performed today by Katie Martin Hewitt from the Age Group. We take this moment to pray or reflect, each in our way, on our lives and on this moment. We are thankful for the meal before us and for the hands that prepared it, and for those who serve it. We are grateful for this day, for its blessings, its opportunities, and its challenges. May we lend each other strength and guidance, and as leaders within our Salem community. May we be deeply driven to always give our best and have the courage to rise to the challenges we face. Amen. Katie, would you kindly perform?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
That was great. Thank you, Katie. Katie's a financial advisor with the Age Group in Salem. She's also a very active volunteer with the Chamber, serving as chair of the Chamber Businesswomen and a committee member for both the First Citizen Banquet and the McLaren Classic Golf Tournament. Thank you very much, Katie. So I know there's a lot of anticipation in the room today. We have a really fantastic panel and a great topic, so I want to jump right into introductions of our head table, starting with our City of Salem Mayor-elect, Madam Julie Hoy, Marion County Board of Commissioners Chair Danielle Bethell, the City of Keizer Mayor Cathy Clark, Polk County Board of Commissioners Chair Craig Pope, Director Brandon Blair, with this month's forum sponsor, Summit Wealth Management, and Chad Neal with our full season forum sponsor, Hagen Hamilton Insurance Solutions. Next, I'd like to recognize local elected and other leaders and chamber leadership in attendance today. We have with us Promise King of the League of Minority Voters, Keizer City Councilors Shani Starr, Kyle Duran, Sarita Cross, Marlene Parsons, and Lori Christopher, Chemeketa Board members Jackie Frankie and Diane Watson, Marion County Commissioner Kevin Cameron, and Salem City Councilors-elect Dr. Irvin Brown and Shane Matthews. Please join me in welcoming them. Also in attendance, Salem Chamber past presidents Laura Dorn, TJ Sullivan, Kurt Arthur, Alan Rasmussen, and Brent DeHart, along with current board members Roger Hoy, Bill Rickey, Ted Ferry, Angela Williams, Dan McDowell, Diane McLaren, myself, Brandon Blair, Rich Duncan, Julie Foscoli, Tammy Denny, Ryan Dempster, and Jim Vu. Welcome. And finally, I want to give a special welcome to any attendees who are either attending the forum for your first time or if you recently joined the chamber as a member. Thank you for your attendance. Okay, for the second season in a row, our partners at Hagen Hamilton Insurance Solutions serve as our season-long forum presenting sponsor. Please watch this brief profile of their company.
We are intimately involved with the Salem Chamber. When I first got started in the industry 25 years ago, I actually had to go door to door to try and get my name and the name of my firm out there. And now, Chris McLaren and I are continually amazed at the amount of referrals that come in from the Salem Chamber. So being involved, it's just good for business. We're also involved heavily with Liberty House, the YMCA. Chad Neal is really involved with the YMCA, which is great. And we're involved with chambers around the area. So the McMinnville Chamber we're very heavily involved in, helping the chambers to form their, arguments about how to best protect business in their area. It's good for business everywhere.
It's just what we do. I think when you live here, when you work here, when you raise your family here, you go to church here, there's a certain responsibility that comes with that says, how could you not be involved in the community? So we take a lot of pride in participating, being active participants in our community, whether that's putting food packets together, serving on nonprofit boards, working with the chamber. It's something we do and that we feel compelled to do.
Thank you to the John family for your continuing support and to the Hagen Hamilton local team here in attendance today. It's now my pleasure to introduce Brandon Blair, Managing Partner, Senior Financial Advisor, and Co-founder at Summit Wealth Management. Also, easily in my top 3 favorite collegiate divers of all time. Brandon and the Summit Wealth team serve as today's Forum Luncheon monthly sponsor. The Summit team is committed to developing investment plans that help fulfill the personal goals of individuals, families, and small businesses determined to get the most out of their financial future. In addition to Salem Chamber Board Secretary, Mr. Brandon Blair, the Summit team includes Salem Chamber past President Barb Hake-Resch, Richard Lee, Mary Hansen, and Leadership Salem graduates Kristen Resch and Erica Lee. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome to the podium Brandon Blair.
Wow, what a setup. So it's Brandon Blair. Some of you know me as BJ Blair, and that's where you'll get that old diving competition in me back in the early 1990s. But thanks, President Mike, for that. Hey, Summit Wealth Management, you just heard who we are, but the most important reason why we wanted to be here today and sponsor this event is for one very important reason, and that's the fact that we at Summit believe in helping people steward the resources that they've been given. What better event than to be here today to help talk a little bit about what that stewardship looks like, at the governmental level. It's important to us. So the one thing that I wanted to do, instead of talking about us, I just wanted to challenge you as we get into today's speakers. First and foremost, the people that are here up on the head panel today, they're here for a reason. They committed their lives to serve you, to serve their community. They've made that decision. It's a decision that many of you have been asked to, and some have said no. These are individuals that chose and sacrificed time with their family to take the arrows from the community that do often come, and they did it for a reason. They did it because they cared. These individuals wake up every morning and they have a choice to make. Their choice is the position that they're in. They can choose to serve themselves, or they can serve to choose their community. We also have that same right. Every morning when we wake up, we have a choice to make as a community. We have the choice to support them or choice not to. Sometimes we don't agree with policies, but at the end, to make this place a better community, we really should rise up and give everyone a chance and support them. That's helping them steward well. So my challenge to them is that they would stop and make that choice to serve us. And my challenge to you is that you would step up and you'd help support everyone up here. With that being said, I will tell you that this year, I am going to choose to take my time and pray that God blesses this community and that he gives them the discernment that they need in the decision-making process that's coming. And I pray that you do the same. So with that, remember, as we go forward, we're here today to learn a lot more about stewarding Salem.
Thank you, Brandon. This is an exciting time for all of us. We're starting a new year. It's a new page, a new chapter in our community, full of opportunity, full of promise. And today we're going to hear from 4 pivotal leaders in Salem and the broader community, tasked with improving the results, right, within the organization that they serve, and in turn within our community. Following all 4 presentations, we'll have some time left over, hopefully, for Q&A from the audience. Full speaker biographies are at each of your tables. So I'll briefly introduce our 4 presenters addressing today's topic, a pathway forward. First, we'll have Marion County Board of Commissioners Chair Danielle Bethell, who will lead Marion County's 3-person commission. Following Commissioner Bethell will be Polk County Board Chair Craig Pope, leading Polk County's 3-person commission. Then we'll shift gears to Keizer Mayor Cathy Clark, who will lead Keizer's 7-member city council. And finally, we will complete our keynotes by hearing from Salem's Mayor-elect Julie Hoy, who's tasked with leading Salem's 9-member city council. So Commissioner Bethell, the floor, and most importantly, the microphone and podium are now yours. Let's welcome her.
Good afternoon, everybody. I see that. Actually, Tom, I appreciate that. I actually have my phone here, and I was wondering if Commissioner Cameron was going to flash a light at me. Similar to State of the County, he has a timer usually to see how long I'll talk. And you know what? I've had no complaints yet on the things that I say when I'm at the microphone. I mean, love it or hate it, I say the things. So I'm thrilled to be the chair again. This is my 2nd time as commissioner. I was just recently reelected, excuse me, on the November ballot. And in Marion County, what it means to be the chair is ultimately I get to run the meetings. I have to show up on time, and I get the gavel. But we don't do anything in silos or on our own in Marion County. We're a board of 3 commissioners that serve the entire county. We don't have districts. That's super important to us because we each have a different perspective or approach, and we have to agree on the outcomes. The method of how we get there is where the conversation comes from. And honestly, the way that Marion County is run, I think, is probably one of the most productive forms of government because you get to see those conversations in real time. If you participate in our work sessions, if you pay attention to our board meetings on Wednesday mornings, it's lively. We don't just sit idle while somebody has a stronger opinion than the other. We really get into the weeds with each other and challenge each other to be the best in our thinking so that way we can serve all 350,000 residents of Marion County. So I want to thank Kevin and Colum for your support. If it wasn't for you, I would not be the chair this year, and it's my true privilege to be up here representing all of us. I'd also like to thank the Chamber for kicking this year's Speaker Forum off with this panel. I think all the leaders that we have in Marion and Polk County are special individuals. I think we all come from a unique background, and for the Chamber to embrace us in a political space, I think is super important to the work that you do, but mostly the people that we all represent together. So to talk about a path forward, I could really get into the dark weeds in a hurry. Sometimes I think we're pushing a rock up a hill in Oregon. It doesn't matter what political spectrum you come from, there's a challenge ahead of you. We're facing behavioral health crises in every community, natural resource challenges and crises in most of our communities. We have solid waste challenges across every county in Oregon, but certainly on the I-5 corridor. And we also have kind of what I would consider issues of the heart. It's where each of us enters into a space with what we think is right, and what we struggle with is how do we have the real, authentic conversations to figure out what the compromise is. It's not about me or Craig, but it's about the people in the space that we're in, and how do we have those real, genuine discussions to understand what is the right thing. I'll give you an example. Right now, you're going to see solid waste in the news, right? You've seen it over the last year. There was a piece of legislation passed in 2023 that really tied the hands of Marion County commissioners on our solid waste system. Our waste-to-energy facility now no longer takes solid waste from across Marion County. We're one of the largest trash consuming, producing spaces in the state, and now we have to redirect that solid waste somewhere else. It's not as easy to pick up the phone and call your residents and say, hey, make sure you know what you're buying and where you're throwing it away at and where it's going to go. They don't really care for the most part. They rely on the commissioners and the people in charge to figure that out. What would have been ideal is if that piece of legislation and the creator behind it would have said, hey, I'm really struggling with the way you're doing this. Let's have a conversation. How do we work together to find a solution that works for my perspective and your perspective and all the folks we're representing in our community together? That didn't happen. So a path forward is to figure out how we as commissioners can have a relationship that allows the door to be open to our policymakers at the state level, our peers at the county level, and our colleagues at the city level to have those real discussions so we're not competing and causing chaos and disruption for our residents. A couple of weeks ago, the Board of Commissioners had to raise the rates on medical waste, 70%. That might not seem like, that's a huge number. Let's just, to be honest, that's a huge number. You're all business owners. For the hospital systems, they're just going to absorb that. The commissioners received an email from a resident who lives in the city of Keizer who has a medical condition that requires his medical waste to be picked up weekly. He went from approximately $130 a month to almost $600 a month overnight, in a cost that he has to now figure out how to cover because Medicaid doesn't keep up with the cost of all needs, and he obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but he doesn't have another means of income to cover that. And so what happens? Well, it's our responsibility to figure out how to help him. We'll have to do that in conjunction with our peers in Keizer because they work in making decisions with their rates for haulers that pick up their trash. And it's a cycle. It's about communication, and I really think it truly is about that authenticity. The other things that I think are going right in the county are our intention to be transparent and collaborative. We have an open door policy. In fact, if you were to look at any one of our schedules, you might not find a space on it in the near future because we really try to be present in the community or invite people into our offices to participate in the work that we're facilitating. That comes with its own set of challenges. Learning new rules when the legislature passes something that they think is the right thing but haven't really thoughtfully figured it out, and the restrictions that we face because of those particular rules. I don't want to be the downer. So maybe the bookend, which is Julie Hoy, can be the upper on this panel. But I want to get into the weeds on a couple of things in just the last 5 minutes that I have. We are entering into a legislative session. It kicks off technically on the 21st. They're in the building today. The state at the state is today at 1 o'clock. If you've read the governor's recommended budget, you can see that she shares some reflection and concern around our service systems of care at the county level. The safety net of service providers are counties when it comes to healthcare, human services, and a few other things. Unlike the cities, those are our special categories. And the governor has written a pretty healthy budget that she has to get the legislature to support. In conversations with her, which I've had several over the last year, she's keeping track, but hasn't quite fully settled in what we need as counties. And what we need as counties is flexibility. We need flexibility in the legislation that's going to come forward, and there's many pieces. Of 1,200 actually pieces of legislation have been dropped so far, and they can continue to roll out legislation over the next several weeks. County commissioners and city councilors and their staff, we're tracking all of that. And we're trying to keep a pulse on what the direction of that legislature is, so that way we're not caught off guard when a bill is passed. Civil commitment is a big deal for Marion County. If you walk outside in Salem or any of our other urban areas, you'll see that there are folks who are in extreme mental crisis. That system of care is broken, like extremely broken. And not because there was bad intentions when they changed the way the system was created or designed previously. It was good intentions. It's just that we haven't really addressed it over a few decades, and now we really need to get to the crux of it, which is we need a place for people to go when they've been disconnected from their family and they've fallen on hard times and they have some emotional or mental challenges, and there's just no place for them to fall. Civil commitment has 7 pieces of legislation coming forward in this session today, and I just learned this morning there's probably 4 more. And they're all competing. It goes back to my earlier, like, how can we find a path forward if we don't have authentic conversations? So the work that I believe that this body will be doing collectively into this session is to educate our legislators. I mean, we need your help for that. We need you to track the work that we're doing as your elected leaders. Ask us questions, hard, not hard, good or bad. It doesn't matter where you're entering into that space from. You should reach out to us. Every one of our organizations passes a legislative agenda, the state level and the federal level, and that gives you an idea of the pulse of the needs that we have in our community. In fact, I think in a couple of weeks, we're going to be looking at our federal agenda in the board session. That's streamed on CCTV and recorded for you to watch back. It might be like watching paint dry, but it's super important to you because we're making big decisions on ways to advocate, bring resources in, reject things like an umbrella, try to protect you all. And if you're not keeping track of that and you're not working with us, and if we're not hearing you, we're off track, which is what I think the legislature has been for some time, is off track, because they've been creating all these policies that have made it very difficult for counties to operate in our safety net systems of care. So I think that we have an optimistic future ahead of us. I believe that every elected official in this community is here because they want to be here. And I'm going to call on each and every one of them to want to show up and engage into the hard conversations, whether they agree or not with whoever's designing that conversation, to show up and have that really authentic conversation. Ask the questions, learn the systems. I think it's the most important part for all of us as neighbors, is to understand where each of us are coming from. And the State of the County is going to be in April, so I would suggest that you come then, which will be here in this building, and we'll really get into the weeds as commissioners on the way the county is functioning and some of the bigger challenges that we're facing. But my call to action to all of you is to pay attention. Seriously, like, if you don't know where to plug in, email a commissioner. Each one of us responds directly. We all answer our phones. We want you to know what we're doing, and we want you to show up with us. If you're not at the legislature advocating for an issue on your street, it won't get changed. It takes more than the 3 people that oversee this county to make a difference in something the size of what we have going on. So if you want to be my partner in the building, which is just a few blocks from here, I invite you to do that. And I think that you should come along with Commissioner Cameron, who keeps smirking over at that table. I'd love to know what that conversation is about. We have our own ideas, or not our own ideas, but we get assigned to different policy areas. So look into what that is for each commissioner and reach out to us. Thanks for having me.
I gotta tell you guys, she walked in here completely not prepared like me. She just wrote them. Outstanding. What a great, let's give her another round. That was outstanding. She just banged that out, and she had 50 seconds left. So 45 seconds left. Craig Polk, Polk County Commissioner, currently the board chair. Apparently, I'm in a position now for the 2nd year in a row as a board chair. something that hasn't happened in Polk County, maybe ever, but for a long time. So either I've bluffed my way pretty well with my current board, or they've just said, I don't care. So let him do it. I want to make certain that I acknowledge the crews, the fire crews from Polk County that are also in LA. Thank you, please. Quite a few of them. Again, I started 14 years ago, so I've been through four-year term elections. I think this is my last one. I think I have 2 years to go, and I'll be 70 and a half. And I really do want to retire and do some other things. I'm not certain that Dina, my bride, really wants that to happen, but she has encouraged me to continue to look for another job. Excuse me. I want to make certain that I acknowledge our Board of Commissioners, a very solid board, Lyle Mordhorst and Jeremy Gordon, and all of our employees, an outstanding team. I don't want to overdo our patting ourselves on the back, but they really work hard. I was just running through budget numbers today just for these notes and just looking at the number of employees we have and what we accomplish with those people. So for example, in our Public Works Department, we get $15 million right now in gas tax allocation. We service 500 miles of roads and 122 bridges and a myriad of other emergency services like snow plowing, et cetera. With that $15 million, we don't use general fund dollars for that. Most of us don't, if we can avoid it. And we do that with 24 people. It's just amazing what they can get done. And we're a county of about 90,000, just under 90,000 population at this point, with 36,000+ of those living in West Salem. So they are part of the city of Salem. Our budget, all funds budget, is $125 million, and we have approximately 420 employees. Our general fund, which is the property tax dollars that we collect, is $32 million, and that covers public safety and general services from $1.71 a thousand general fund tax, property tax, and 49.5 cents per thousand in a public safety levy. And that public safety levy is now our new normal to help fund our need for deputies, district attorneys, community corrections folks. Interesting thing, and I'm just putting some details out just so you can get an idea of the context of our county's budget. So our health services fund is $43 million. Now I just said our general fund, what we collect from you in property taxes, is $32 million. Health services, that's mostly behavioral health, $43 million. The state and federal dollars that we get. And we can't meet the need. We can't hire enough people with that money. We always have more money in that account than we can spend because we just can't find the people to deliver all the services that this money is alleged to be needed for. So I want to talk about, excuse me, I want to talk about some of the successes that we've had in 2024 and how I think that's going to carry forward in 2025. So broadband expansion was a big deal to me before COVID. I was working on this with a number of providers in our county, just trying to explore how serious is the need. We've been hearing a lot of this from school districts and others, that the need is pretty significant in Polk County and remote areas. What can we do? What are the plans of the providers? So I was able to put together some meetings, large group meetings, and then eventually one-on-one meetings with some ISPs and able to try to get a sense of that. Then COVID hit, and that slowed it down a little bit, but then it really exploded. The need really exploded. We really found out when you send everybody home how serious that need is. We had a lot of conversations with partners. We had a lot of conversations with ISPs and tried to figure out how could we make a difference. So as COVID relief dollars came in and ARPA dollars that came in from the federal government, I was able to help convince my board and my staff, let's make certain that we dedicate as large a portion of that money as we can to make certain that broadband expansion is something we will help pay for. We're not going to sit here and wait for the federal government to come up with the money. By the way, you've all heard, I'm sure you've seen the news, watched different articles about how much federal money is being allocated for, broadband expansion. And in my county, I haven't seen a dime of that hit the ground. So we can't wait. We're just continuing to do this. So as we go forward, we have another section of our county in the northwest corner that's still in desperate need for service, and we're using economic development money. We don't have a lot of it, but we're using what we can with a fixed wireless provider to try to get more service in that area, to try and get people up out of hot spots. So that's a big deal. We've had significant changes in our criminal justice work around House Bill 4002, which was passed to help mitigate the concerns over Measure 110. And I will tell you, I think we got $250,000 for an 18-month period to run this diversion program. We've put one person in treatment since September, one. There's a lot more encounters for police for possession of controlled substance. The majority of those are frequent flyers, and the majority of them are going into the jail. By the way, in Polk County, just to help repeat this for people who have heard it before, in Polk County, a jail is a jail. That's what we use it for. It's not, it's not a rehabilitation program. So anyway, we're working on that. We'll see how that goes. It's not going to be the panacea for solving our drug problems, it appears. Apparently, property tax change discussions are a big deal right now. And with some, and that's across all jurisdictions in the state, and some that suggest measures 5 and 50 need to be repealed. And some of us are suggesting that we're not in favor of that, at least not without some other realistic plan. I haven't heard one. I hope somebody out here has heard one or two that we can start looking at, but right now I haven't seen what's a viable option for replacing measures 5 and 50 and getting the relief for revenues for our local governments. We all feel it. Another big issue for us is jail operations and the ever-increasing costs of medical and mental health that have to be met by county operations and paid by property tax dollars. So, for example, we have an inmate that has been in custody that had to be in custody and could not be released due to the type of crime that was committed. And that person has needed a $50,000 a month brain cancer outpatient treatment program. Outpatient treatment means we have to provide that. And so those are property tax dollars that are paying for that. That's not Medicaid. And that's a huge problem for all of us. All the counties have this problem. And we've been working desperately to try and get some help on that. But it doesn't take very many of those in a little county the size of Polk County. Well, Marion County's getting in the same boat. It's more than we can stand. We are all working on homeless and affordable housing issues and trying to figure out, what's the key to helping make that work. More and more money, I can tell you, Commissioner Bethell has to spend a lot of time on that because she volunteered to be in that role. So for Marion County, I am not, no matter what she tries to do.
You're welcome.
No, I'm not doing it. More and more money is being poured into our communities expecting results. It's a massive frustration for me. I'm sure it's a massive frustration for you that, we do put a lot more money into this and it's hard to see measurable outcomes from that work. I don't know the answer other than to suggest this is filter off moment for me that, and I think a lot of us feel this way, we have to help get these people off the streets. We have to get them off the streets. And in a lot of cases, it means we just have to scoop them up. We have to get them off the streets. Waiting for, and I've had my own lived experience with this with a family member who eventually committed suicide with fentanyl. We couldn't get him into treatment. He just was not going to do it. And I think we see a lot of that's going on our streets today, and we're powerless as local governments to do anything about it. And then finally, transportation challenges. I am being more negative than I should be, aren't I? I'm sorry. Well, I had to go into the transportation part. I knew she was going to whisper to me. Transportation challenges are very overwhelming for all of us in local governments, and we all want to believe that we're partners with ODOT and the federal government. Like I said, I've been in this office for 14 years, and the only substantial project I will see completed in my entire 16-year tenure is a roundabout that we have fought as a board early on. We fought it. We said, we'll spend $1 million and go put in a lighted intersection and let's get on with it. But we've been forced to accept as a board and a community a roundabout that the planning started 2 years before I got here. And it looks like, and we were told that it was going to be about $5 million to build it versus $800,000 for a lighted intersection at the time. It will likely be $11 million by the time it's done, scheduled to be done this year. And it's very frustrating. The other thing is we have a couple of more roundabouts being planned to go in the community, and they want to design every one of them uniquely. They will not take a template off the shelf and put them on the map. So anyway, infrastructure problems everywhere, and we're trying our best to keep up with it. I need another 12 minutes, please. Just put it back on the clock for me, sir. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate the time.
All right. A little shorter. There we go. How's that audio? Okay, thank you so much. All right, shifting from counties to cities. Thank you all so much for inviting me to be here. Chamber President Mike Herron, members of the board, and the Salem Chamber. It is truly a pleasure to join you today for discussing this pathway forward. Although, as already mentioned, I do want to personally acknowledge the Keizer City Council, Council President Shani Starr, Councilors Kyle Duran, Dan Kohler, Sarita Cross, Lori Christopher, and Marlene Parsons. And a special thank you to Laura Reed, who just concluded 8 years of service as a Keizer City Councilor. It is this team that works hard as neighbors to make sure that we are speaking for and developing work for and with our community members in creating the community and the city we call Keizer. I also want to acknowledge our executive leadership team for the city of Keizer, led by our city manager, Adam Brown, our city attorney, Joe Lindsay, assistant city manager, Tim Wood, human resources director, Garrett Cleaver, city recorder, Melissa Bissett, police chief, Andrew Copeland, planning director, Shane Witham, and public works director, Bill Lawyer. So I want to point out that aside from two of them, most of them are new either to the city or to that position in the last 3 years. We've had a big generational turnover, and the quality of candidates we've been able to recruit and bring into our city operations really speaks to the strength of our community and a city that these people as professionals want to be a part of developing for the future. So I'm going to start with a little bit of background because not everybody understands who Keizer is and where we came from. I am starting my 6th term as mayor, so my 11th year as a mayor of the city of Keizer. I served 2 terms as a city councilor prior to that, so this is my 19th year. People ask how that happened. I say 1 term at a time. As an aside, though, I do want to also acknowledge Keizer Fire District, not part of the city of Keizer, but it is a partner with the city of Keizer who has also sent teams down to Los Angeles. And for those of you who don't know, that's my hometown. So this has been a very difficult time knowing that my childhood home has gone up in flames and really feeling for the people in that community where I grew up. And I've just been so warmed by the kindness and the strength of this community, recognizing that we are all leaders and community members in the human family in supporting our neighbors in California as they go through this terrible tragedy. So let me do a little bit of history for you all about Keizer. We are the 2nd youngest city in Oregon, incorporated in 1982, but we have a much longer history and culture in this region. We have a motto of pride, spirit, and volunteerism, and we live out that motto in our civic life and how we collaborate and work here in the Mid-Willamette Valley. We are also the 2nd largest city in Marion County, and we recognize our responsibility to bring our voice, experience, and our know-how into the decision-making, projects, and planning to strengthen and support our region's economy and our quality of life. Keizer's mission is, and I quote, keep city government costs and services to a minimum by providing city services to the community in a coordinated, efficient, and least cost fashion. That does not roll off the tongue, so I have to read it. However, it has imperatives for staying focused on basics, ensuring quality and value to our residents, and coordination, i.e. partnerships, to achieve goals rather than trying to fly solo. So over this last year, in keeping with those imperatives, Keizer has been engaged in significant project and program work. We have been completing updates and modernizing our city systems, like an entire municipal code, 42 years, and we're just finally getting that done. We have amazing city attorneys. Thank you so much. We now have a first ever human resources information system. We have brand new public safety camera systems for our parks and police. We have a newly updated, by over a quarter century, a neighborhood traffic management program. We've updated our entire neighborhood association framework. We've updated our emergency operations planning, none too soon, just to name a few. We've also been involved in infrastructure maintenance programs because we strive to keep ours fully funded and supported, which saves everybody money in the long run, which is very important for our business community as well as our residents. Roads, water, and our system of 19 parks are all critical infrastructure to ensure we keep in a state of good repair. Our environmental division has been particularly successful in engaging with our community to understand and care for our stormwater system, as well as do parks projects like our pollinator gardens, vegetated stormwater facilities, and more. Recent parks additions like the all-weather sports fields, thank you, Marion County, for that wonderful grant. Those are now open, our pickleball courts, and we're preparing for our next playground replacement project, and we're fundraising and preparing for the installation of Oregon's first Gold Star Memorial to speak about our love and support for our community members who have suffered a loss of a military service member. Our partnerships are critical as Keizer actively participates in regional services and programs from the Willow Lake Treatment Plant, our public safety intergovernmental agreements, the Mid-Willamette Communications, Council of Governments, Homeless Alliance. Keizer collaborates and we provide services to those who provide services, and we also collaborate to address challenges that we cannot do on our own, nor should we. So going forward, we're now in our 5th decade of existence. We have key elements that are guiding us as we chart our course forward. We want to be a safe, welcoming community that prioritizes public safety, that includes all of us in an active role of watching out and caring for our neighbors. A strong local economy that supports businesses and job growth right here at home. A vibrant culture of arts, literature, outdoor spaces, activities, and community gathering and celebration, something that we do so well here in the Mid-Willamette Valley. A city that seeks continuous improvement to provide responsibly the quality of services our people deserve. And a place of belonging. Everyone has a role in creating this community we call Keizer. So what does that look in 2025? Public safety continues to be job one. We understand that we need systems like our camera systems, addition of a police evidence facility, recruitment and retention of police professionals who practice problem-solving policing, and creating a space community together. We must collaborate with our regional partners as we increase efforts in education, enforcement, and treatment as the opioid and fentanyl drug crises continue to take a toll on our families. Our location on the I-5 corridor makes this partnership even more critical as we are impacted by sex and human trafficking, organized retail theft, and international drug trafficking. We are not isolated, and we need to be cognizant of that in every decision we make and all the work that we do. We are glad to be able to partner with Marion County in particular in providing public safety services, recognizing that there are some that we do not provide, but we must collaborate to make sure that we are delivering services and safety facilities such as jail and detention, but one of them that we really support and have for the years, the Marion County Reentry Initiative. You've heard it from everybody else so far, and I'm going to echo it: infrastructure, infrastructure, infrastructure. Our roadways must be maintained in a state of good repair. We have diminishing buying power with the gas tax. We are going to be working to support maintaining the gas tax funds and other support that come into our cities to be able to keep our roads in a state of good repair. We are active in the Mid-Willamette area Commission on Transportation, MWACT, and we are going to continue to advocate for ensuring we have local funds for maintenance, as well as building key improvements such as the Verta Lane project that will be coming online later this year. I was really hoping for spring, but funding, planning, all of that, it will get built. That's going to be critical for our Southeast Keizer neighborhood, which was built long before we were a city. Water systems are life. Our system of 15 wells and 3 reservoirs provide clean, reliable water to our entire city, along with 2 interties with the city of Salem to use in the event of an emergency. Consistent I wrote this and I tripped over it 3 times. We're just going to be consistent and be on top of our maintenance. I should probably write down what I wrote. But we want to make sure that we replace and update our system on a regular basis, because high-quality water in a system of state of good repair saves everybody time and money, but more importantly, provides vital service to our residents that we cannot live without. Good, clean water for our residences, our businesses, and our agriculture. Stormwater. Our environmental division will continue to add education, community involvement, and strong maintenance program for our piped and vegetated systems, as well as partnership with organizations like our Claggy Creek Watershed Council and others. And families are invited to work days. We do Trashy Tuesday. We do the City Hall cleanup. Everybody has a role to play, and I love getting out there and seeing families volunteering together in our parks, around City Hall, and in our community to take care of our shared spaces and places. In our local economy, you may have heard that Keizer has a new franchisee, and that's Ziply Fiber. And as we speak, fiber is being installed throughout the city of Keizer to reach all the residences and businesses in our community. This is going to increase the speed for everybody who chooses to then take advantage of this new service for internet stability and internet capacity. And we know this is really critical for our businesses to be able to move forward into the future. I can talk a lot about our housing and homelessness. You've heard some. I am going to really emphasize that our niche in Keizer may be transitional housing, but our role is on a regional basis, that we make sure that we are collaborative in partnerships, in providing full services to people to get them on not only off the streets, but on an ongoing, sustained, and predictable path into their future so they do not return to homelessness and leave them worse off than we found. I am so thrilled that we have been able to add so much more capacity for shelter and housing in the last few years, and we need to do more. So what you're not hearing here is a call for a massive new programs or projects. I believe our pathway forward is to complete projects we have started, let programs like our middle housing codes and other programs to bear fruit, stay focused on our basics, actively show up, participate in every space and place where decisions are being made. We have the collective wisdom and experience to understand our community. We are the second largest metro area in the state of Oregon. We have a voice that counts in Oregon, and we need to lead the way. Thank you very much.
I love being a bookend. Well, what a privilege it is to be here today with you on a very special day. I'm not mayor yet. What are the hours? How many hours? Good deal. It's going to be a heck of a party, and I'm really looking forward to it. I did make some notes. I didn't do it without help, and I think it's important to point that out. Tomorrow is going to be a day filled with a lot of interviews about what's happening tonight and the role that I'm coming into. One of the questions that stood out to me that were submitted ahead of time was, you've had 8 months to prepare. What have you done to get ready? And I thought, wow, well, I was serving on council, running a business, and having a family. I've been at a lot of meetings. I'm making good on the promise to work together with the county. And united, we can work with the state, I believe. It's going to happen. The county and the city, just today we talked about, ahead of time, about the fact that we're going to get together. we're going to have a board of commissioners and the city councilors and myself, city manager, meet to discuss what we're doing and how we can do it together. To get on the same page, I'm so looking forward to that. Priorities, connecting with each other. I'm so grateful to see two of my fellow incoming counselors here today, Shane Matthews and Irvin Brown. Would you stand? These are my two new favorite little brothers who I'm super excited to work with. Both have already invested so much time in what's happening here in Salem and are leading in very special ways from their own ward, but for the good of all. And it's going to be a really great year. So I'm super excited about them and the others coming in. I don't think that there could be a better team for a time such as this than what the voters have brought into council chambers at this time. So the voters, give yourselves a hand. In those 8 months, I don't know if you're aware of the transition of coming into mayor. Some mayors don't serve on council maybe when they come into that role. I have, and I've faced a tremendous amount of opposition. So I've been busy with that, and you don't have help. There's no assistant, there's no office. You're just out there. And the mayor was in the office until Friday at noon. So here I am today with you. I have a beautiful assistant at the city. Her name is Linda Rose. She's amazing, and she helped me put these notes together. So she's a woman with experience in that role and wisdom about how we're working and what we're doing and how I can best serve. So I couldn't be more grateful for that. In my notes, giving a voice to those who feel unheard. Having been one, I can't wait. I'm all ears. I want to hear what it is you need, and they're all right. You have to show up in these spaces where the decisions are being made. Otherwise, wake up and go, oh, well, that happened. I was that person for a long time, and now I'm sort of in the mix. So I couldn't be more excited to be there, to come together as a community to address the most urgent needs for our most vulnerable. These folks who have more experience have talked about, you know, the agencies that we need to enlist to help the people who are struggling. I, too, Commissioner Pope, have a relative who struggles, who's in a place in Portland, a no-barrier shelter, who's been there for a year, who's received no services toward healing, who's received none of the counseling promised, who doesn't have to be clean, and it's all paid for. So I want different, and I will do what I can. I think the best thing I can bring is lived experience. You know, I feel it. I was asking the question a few days back, you know, who's at most need? Is it the addict who won't get help if they don't ask for it? Is it the family trying to deal with it? And maybe the people that addict has pushed to points that they feel like there's no return? Is it the people, you know, like me, who've lost a lot in the process of those relationships? And there's no help for me. I mean, thank God I have a therapist, right? That's not a joke. That's very real. So between the help of my therapist and, most importantly, this community, I have had help. I have had people, a network of wonderful that is there for me when, and you got to know your team, right? Like, who do I call? Who do I call? I call Brandon when I want to know somebody's praying for me. And when I know he knows stuff about business and numbers and all those kinds of things, I can't possibly know it all. And I've said it from the beginning, there are so many smart people in this town. And you all can count yourselves among them. And we need to be collaborators in figuring out the problems. I've said it right along, we are smarter than this. We can do this. I did ride-alongs, 2 of them, one on Christmas Eve with Salem PD, and one on New Year's Eve overnight with Salem Fire. Salem Fire stood out to me because of one experience around 2 a.m. Have you ever been on an overnight in a fire station? I've related it to like having an infant child who you just get to sleep and then the bell goes off again and you rally and you put your boots on and you jump back in the truck. We responded to a fire in a homeless camp. That homeless camp was up against the freeway. So I'm going to really, really generalize because the conversation was long. And it happened over coffee in the morning in the station with the overnight crew and the day crew coming in. And we talked about what is happening here. Well, those camps are really particularly hard because they're spotty. You can have a big camp like Wallace Marine, and you kind of know where you're headed. But in these places that are offshoots, you don't really know how to get there. This crew had to string 500 feet of hose, had to cut through a cyclone fence, go around apartment buildings to get down the muddy gully and up the muddy hillside to get to the patient who had a fire in their structure. She's got 3rd-degree burns. She now becomes the priority for, not the fire, it's up against the wall of the freeway. 2 fire stations responded, 2 medic units, I believe. All of this expense for a woman who didn't deserve to have that happen to her, but she also didn't deserve to be living the way that she's living. So we have a lot of work to do to figure out how to bring these pathways forward so that we get actually to the root of the problems that we're facing, no matter what it is. And I know we have a lot of them, and they're way broader than this. But my lived experience has brought to the table livability issues. The people in those apartment complexes, maybe 20 yards from that fire, had that gully been filled with leaves and foliage of summertime, it might not have gone so well. And we can't allow that. If I'm a renter in that apartment, I deserve to feel as though I am safe. And when behaviors are being perpetuated that don't make that so, we, as a governing body, are not doing our job. So I'm determined to help to make that better, and I know we can't do it alone. I'm just super excited and grateful to be here, and I could not do what I am doing without all of the people in this room who have been such a support to me, trying to navigate this new role without the supports that I need. I want to tell you right now, city staff has risen up next to me, and I feel it. And I do believe that we're going to accomplish many great things. I'm just going to look. Oh, the budget. Never mind. No, I'm so grateful for the Forecast Review team. I love the Forecast Review team. Their acronym is FRT, and I think that's really funny. Yeah, we met and went through some things, and we figured out some really cool stuff, and that came out yesterday, you know? Yeah, you got it. I'm headed to Washington, D.C. for a National Mayor's Conference. I'm looking forward to learning a lot. I was in Boston for the Bloomberg-Harvard New Mayor's Conference in October, I think. I don't remember. November. And boy, what a network of people doing the same kind of work. And some mayors are suffering more than others right now. It's a lot of responsibility. And I accept it. And I know that I don't go it alone. So thank you very much for the opportunity to be with you today. And I say, let the healing begin.
We now have time, 7 minutes allotted for Q&A. Please don't be timid. If you'd raise your hand, I'll come bring a microphone to you. Like to make note as you're considering your question, it is great to have City Manager of Salem, Keith Staley here. Keith, thank you so much for your participation. Who's got a first question for anybody on the panel?
So I don't know if it's necessarily a question, but I guess speak to the importance of us as just regular community members getting involved in boards and commissions, because I didn't know what I was doing. Just Julie or Danielle, one of you told me, just go online and just put an application into whatever, and I got like way too many responses this last week, and I chose one. But it's exciting because I went to my first meeting. Whoa, I actually am doing something. So just speak to the importance of that aspect.
Pass it down. In Keizer, we have a volunteer coordinating committee that helps place people on committees and commissions. Like the City Council, we rely on our committees and commissions also of neighbor volunteers to help us do more in-depth work in specific areas. It's really important for each and every person to find that niche where you can lean in, get involved, and get your voice on the, into these conversations about developing ideas, projects, and policies that then get recommended to City Council. It really expands the team for a City Council to have everybody involved in some level. So please do get involved and find your space.
I just want to say, Jackie, way to go, girl. She jumps in to whatever it is, and I want more Jackies. I want people to get in, throw in all those applications, see what you get involved.
I feel like it might be the same for Polk County, but for us, the boards of commissioners are the policy guiders. So we set policy, and we have boards and commissions in different capacities that inform us before we make a decision, and some that deliver that message into the community. Right now, we have a slew of open seats for various boards. We have a mental health board, an addiction, a substance use board, many. So Jackie, thanks for getting involved. And if you don't know how to get involved, everybody has a website and everyone has a committee list, and also we all have emails.
Ditto, generally, but for those of you that might live on the Polk County side of the river, Polk County, go to our website, please engage. We would love to hear from you, so please do sign up for some things. We would love to have you.
This is a little bit of a generalization, but I was struck by the comments from both Craig and Danielle about how Polk County seems to have trouble finding people who need the services that you can have money to deliver, and Marion County seems to be just the opposite. Has more people who want the services and you have resources to do. So I'm curious, can you speak to, are there any demographic or cultural differences across the river that we can learn from?
So just to clarify, in fact, every county in Oregon has a workforce shortage in our most crisis-impacted spaces. Marion County is not void of that. In fact, we have 122 positions open today, and more than 80% of those are in the health and human services field, so to focus on the behavioral health crisis that's out among us. We could really get in the weeds together about the challenges that we face with not just the workforce, but keeping up with the capacity needs of the community and the underfunds that we don't receive from the state and the feds. That flexibility that I spoke of is what we really work towards together as a team and a region, and we really need to be focusing on that with our community through that vocal space.
Thank you for that question. I clearly didn't speak appropriately with regard to our challenges as, again, the pipeline, the workforce pipeline. And it's not just health services, it's across everything, just like what you all experience. But in the behavioral health world, it is really a problem. And I mean, the folks just aren't going into school at the level that they used to for that. And so that's my point, is that we're having a difficult time filling those open slots and meeting those service needs, even though the money just keeps coming at us and saying you must serve all of these people that need help. And it really is a huge challenge. By the way, we have a statutory requirement. It's called safety net that means we have to, as counties, we have to serve those people. And so there we are, stuck with that conundrum of we have to serve by law, but we don't have enough people with the skill sets to do that.
Can I just add really quick, though, that in Marion County, we don't have enough money. We don't have enough people. So the issues are a little different. We have 350,000 people. You have 90,000. And our geographic is very different. And so when you look at that, while they have West Salem, we have Salem. We also have Woodburn. We have really large urban areas that have really severe needs. And a bulk of the funding that counties receive for those service systems come from the state. They don't come from property taxes. And we are seriously underfunded. And the data to support that actually just came out in a study bill from the Oregon Health Authority. In fact, I forwarded some information today to Mayor-elect Hoy so she could see coming into her role when we have this partnership conversation, where the county is starting from and where we need to lead into the legislature and lean in hard on that education space to receive what's adequate for resource and service delivery.
If I may, I just want to acknowledge a couple of partners in the room on this pipeline issue for behavioral health. Is that CTEC, our Career Technical Education Center, they did add the behavioral health strand, and it was immediately fully subscribed by our students. Our younger generation recognizes this need, and they are excited to be in this space to train up for professions in behavioral health. I also want to acknowledge Dr. Jessica Howard is here from Temecula Community College, where they have partnered to help make sure that that pipeline continues into the higher education professional space to fill that space. We don't have enough now, but we have started pipeline because around here we get things done, we figure it out. We have a younger generation wanting to jump into that service space.
All right. I want to thank each of our speakers again today, both for your willingness to serve, and second, for your accessibility. I think it's amazing. The Chamber stands ready to assist in the work that you do in any way possible. We're proud to share the perspective and the voice of the business community in Salem in promoting our city and in promoting our region. So thank you for that. Let's give them another round of applause. Speaking of sharing our voice, tonight everyone has an opportunity, and you're all invited to join us at 6 p.m. at City Hall as the community welcomes 3 new city councilors, 2 of which are here, Councilors-elect Matthews and Brown, and our incoming mayor, Mayor Julie Hoy. We hope to see a lot of you this evening. I know I'll be there. I want to thank Katie Martin Hewitt from the H Group for today's national anthem. Thank you to Allied Video Productions, Capital Community Media, and the Salem Convention Center. To our Salem Chamber ambassadors in your Navy logo jackets, job well done creating a welcoming atmosphere. To Brandon Blair and the Summit Wealth Management team, thank you for your support of the Salem Chamber in sponsoring today's forum lunch. Each month, little dry mouth, the Forum Speaker Series luncheons will be presented by our partners at Hagen Hamilton Insurance Solutions. I again thank the John family for their support and recognize the local Hagen Hamilton team here today. Next month, we heard a little bit about this. Next month, we'll tackle a topic that's top of mind for everyone, and that's wildfires. We'll provide a look into Oregon's vulnerabilities, planning and implementation necessary to be resilient in the future, and who will be leading the region and our state on this vital topic. So if you'll join us next Monday, February 10th, same time, same place, you can register at salemchamber.org. I also want to point out that tickets are still available online for our annual Safe Agribusiness Banquet coming this Friday evening, January 17th, 6 p.m. right upstairs here at the Salem Convention Center. Thank you to our presenting sponsors, Key Bank. Chamber businesswomen will meet next week on Tuesday, January 21st at 11:45 to 1 p.m. at Roth's West Salem. Our keynote speaker will be Pam Fondrick of World Local on the topic of AI in business. There's less than 10 tickets remaining, so you better act fast. You can, again, go to salemchamber.org. Lastly, mark your calendars. Salem's premier evening out on Saturday, March 8th, we host the 74th Annual First Citizen Awards Banquet, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. upstairs here in the Willamette Ballroom. Start your diet, get your tuxedos and dresses ready for a special evening out, courtesy of our presenting sponsors, Pioneer Trust Bank and Mountain West Center for Community Excellence. Table reservations, all of that is available, again, on salemchamber.org. So I want to close today with 2 drawings. First, we have our flower centerpiece giveaway here. A beautiful arrangement courtesy of our partners at Ross Fresh Markets. And those are going home with Sarah Moore from the Physical Therapy Project. Congratulations, Sarah. And our second raffle item, or not raffle item, drawing item, courtesy of Summit Wealth Management, handcrafted flag sculpture is going to Victoria Shin of U.S. Bank. Congratulations, Victoria. All right, I want to thank you all for coming out today. We'll see you all on February 10th. Have a good day.